I think the thing that makes us think that there might be a little bit of racism involved here and there is the fact that you guys don't want to count Trayvon Martin as an unarmed minor. The Zimmerman case is starting to bother me in the sense that I woke up with thoughts about it. I had other videos I was thinking to make, and even specifically today, that I likely would have made before I start programming. But I think about things when I'm asleep, and I can check my head and see what's going on by the fact of what things I'm thinking over. You know, it's like having dreams that are just thoughts. But I figured I told some people I would do this. I unroll some racial profiling of my own, and this is the thing you guys don't get. Now remember, well, first of all, let's talk about that picture of Trayvon. I saw somebody like the Miami Herald put that as a picture of Trayvon. I see there's potential foreshadowing of that being confirmed. But I already said I considered that, so we have to think a couple things like that. Now, one thing, I got really pissed at a particular idiot in my comments at one point before I knew that you guys were all going from this Trayvon Twitter stuff about how could he afford this $10,000 gold grill. And, you know, I wasn't taking this serious because that looked like dental work to me, and he had none. So then somebody's like, well, it could be a $50 pop-in one. Well, that sort of changes things a little. I mean, one, it doesn't prove he needed $13,000 for a grill. So let's go back and rewrite that part of the mistake. You want to take all the mistakes and all the things and just keep them piling up. And, you know, I had some vampire teeth when I was his age. I didn't have Facebook, but if I would have popped them in, you guys would all, I guess, been going, he's a vampire, $10,000 worth of dental work to sharpen his fangs. Now, none of that says, even if that's his Twitter, that doesn't mean that the damning tweets are his, or that they're not just song lyrics or the equivalent of popping in fake gold teeth to make a picture. That same white supremacist that hacked his accounts and opened up the stuff, I mean, when you download somebody's account, you can easily go into that HTML document and add to it. But also, I think it was the Daily Gawker maybe with those passwords got a screenshot of allegedly Trayvon's emails, planning to take SAT tests in colleges and college programs. Look, gangbangers, this is the racial thing I'm going to share with you. Because you have the profile of Trayvon wrong. First of all, even in the hood, people that are all, hood-oriented, they're not all bad people that'd jump you. Most people in the ghetto are nice people. They're being victimized by a large, but nevertheless, minority of criminals. Most of them are even hardworking and everything. Yeah, I know you don't believe that, but whatever. But let me just tell you, gangbangers don't get caught dead on the ski slopes. They don't snowboard, don't ride horses. You've got Trayvon Martin's African American profile wrong. This guy was more likely going to become a pilot than, a crack dealer. But that's beside the point, okay? That's just a different issue about helping you guys. I had somebody send me a supposed fight video, Trayvon, with this two guys. I don't know who Trayvon was supposed to be, the black guy or the white guy. The black guy had like really dark skin, and you guys are gonna all be like, yeah, well, so does Trayvon. It's like, no, this guy was like starting to be in the olive black category. What? You guys you just can't tell black people apart. It's funny if it weren't so sad. But that's not what it's really about. Here's the situation. You have an armed adult following an unarmed teenager into a dark alley, and the unarmed teenager ends up dead. See, right there we have a problem. There's some splainin to do, right? I think. And the first accusation of racism towards you guys comes in with, what about Trayvon is not a minor? I mean, this is like an automatic thing. Like, yeah, you kill a minor, you should probably have to at least explain it. even somebody who isn't a minor. You know. So it was just the two of you, and you come out and you're like, well, it was self-defense. It was his fault. Okay, I really want to believe you. Tell me exactly what happened. Well, George's story is total bullshit. And I'm not going to really spend much more time. I'll just wait for the case. Well, I have more stuff to go over, and I'll probably share my analysis because it's, you know, might as well. Probably going to read this stuff. But in terms of arguing with you guys, if you don't understand this, you're going to tell me that little hand signals in 7-Eleven tape are supposed to be taken as seriously significant, that you can draw conclusions from. But you can't draw a conclusion from George's story. George says, and people are like, well, you could easily have struggled down there, and George shows how he had a slap fight, but there was no slap fight. Remember, Trayvon comes up to him, they exchange one sentence each, and Trayvon decks him down to the ground, right there. So any moving 30, 40 feet is rolling around on the ground. Now, Zimmerman evidently thinks about this problem a little bit, and he's like, oh, I think I was having a slap fight that I never mentioned. Could we put a slap fight in there? On my way getting decked instantly by a sucker punch, I had a slap fight. And I stumbled over here in the proper direction, in front of that black screen door thing, still, 40 feet. If he went down and they rolled around over to there, that should be a part of the story. That's not, he had me pinned and beat me up and my head against the concrete. That's a totally different story. That's, we were rolling around in the grass and I was on top and then he was on top and then I was on top and then he was on top and then my jacket back and he saw my gun and went for it and I got it first and shot him. He can't come up with that story now. Do you understand? He can't come up with a story that's just, oh, let me clarify my thing. I said I was up there because I know I wasn't supposed to go down here, but we rolled down there. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe there's any evidence of a rolling around on the grass type fight. It is possible that they had the conflict at the T and had a shoving match down into that direction, especially since that would involve mostly George shoving, right, in that direction. But I don't think that's what happened. I think that George got off the phone around when he was, when he said, okay, I won't follow, he still continued running. He's like, no, that was the wind. Well, why are you short of breath, George? The wind was getting my face started to bleed. And he kept running for 15, 17 seconds. And then when he got off and kept walking, kept following the whole time, I believe, prowling around. And that's why he's like, well, no, I don't want to meet actually at the other place. And then he gets off the phone. He's like, no, I'm really going to. That whole time he's looking. Yeah, and if you want to come out of there and go, hey, you just got to believe me. I know there were no other witnesses, but it was self-defense. Then your story has to be pretty damn solid. Because the standard that you're having to prove is I followed an unarmed minor into a dark place and they ended up dead and it's their fault. Right? That's not just like a minor thing you're trying to explain away. And if you're the kind of person that can't get facts right within like 40 feet, you are probably not the kind of person that should get away with it. And George's stories, there's multiple ones. He's not even clearly saying where he got out of the truck, as far as I can tell, and I watched it twice now. It doesn't, he's remembering a fantasy. What he's remembering is a movie that was playing in his head that night. And the stress test. First of all, people were calling the stress test a lie detector. Well, you're wrong. I don't think lie detectors are very good. My experience in court following lie detectors are pretty much bullshit. But it wasn't even a lie detector. It's this stress test technology. And somebody said, well, they did a study 45 times in controlled cases and figured it out. Okay, well, it's not admissible, first of all. Second of all, even real polygraphs are quite iffy. That's why they're looking for better ways to do it. And have they ever done clinical trials on schizophrenic people and people on antipsychotics? How does it affect them? How does it, being on an antipsychotic affect the stress test? Did they do thousands of tests? It's an untested technology. I don't even think they did it to get the stress results, per se. I think they did it as an interrogation technique to get him thinking about as many things as possible so he couldn't put as much thought into the lies. Probably overkill because he doesn't really put that much thought into his lies. He just lies at the moment. Pressure him in another way. A few minutes later, you get a different answer. They don't hook up. Sorry. You know. He said he was attacked and decked. And if he forgot where he was attacked, and he was attacked down in the dark place like I had speculated, then he walked down there and that was his lie. And if he was attacked in the light space, then he rolled down there, and him being decked to the ground and beaten with no struggle for 60 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever is the lie. Now we can look at the marks on their body and find out which is more probable. It looks a little bit like George might have tried to grab Trayvon. Like, what are you doing here? What are you around here? And then George is all, cop moment, I'm following, and the cops are on the way, and they always get away, and I've apprehended him. He probably, without thinking, just like so many other things he's done and said, how he's thinking, I don't know why I did this. He probably grabbed him, and then shoving match. Then George realizing, what the fuck am I doing? I have no skills of this sort whatsoever. Yeah, we're going to find out exactly how far away that gun was. There's not room between their body for the shot. And you'll find a way to deny it. Well,